appreciate everybody coming today, and I'm sorry for the confusion over scheduling for the length of the county. Really am sorry for everybody affected. This meeting will be conducted in compliance with Nebraska's open meeting laws, a copy of which is on the wall. If you need help, let us know. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first is a proposed update to the Douglas County travel policies. Eric.
Okay. Well, just to kind of a little background, since probably maybe end of October, November of last year, we started taking a look at the policy we had in place and really didn't have a lot of clear language. We really wanted to clarify kind of, and ultimately, with Michelle working with the clerks and the county attorney, we're coming up with a draft policy to present to the board. So today to discuss kind of what we were looking at putting in place, specifically related to the travel policy. And there's drafts here available for everybody. And Michelle, I believe, she's going to highlight some of the changes to what we've known to be the travel policy up until now.
So the first item that is I think the biggest change is the report for travel expenses form. We've separated that out so that.
What page are you on?
On page 3, the introduction. Okay. So for section 1, this is section 2. So we have the report for travel expenses, and it separates personal reimbursements from travel expenses that are paid by a county credit card. So page 1 would be what employees who travel for official county business would complete and submit to purchasing with their itemized receipts. The page 2 is what would be personal reimbursements, and it lists the items that are eligible for personal reimbursement, which is parking, mileage, and it lists the form, the mileage report that needs to be completed, ground travel fare and expenses, and meals. And it on both it emphasizes the GSA per diem rates that, and there are 2 different ways that they can use it. I think that's might be really good to clarify. An employee who personally incurs any of the expenses would need to submit page 2 of the travel expenses form in addition to their direct pay request, which they currently already do. And then section 3 talks about the qualified and prohibited travel expenses, which is the same as what it was before. It hasn't changed. Section 3.2 and 3.3 are the same as what it was prior to now. When we get to section 4, administration, that's the same, and 5, air transportation. The ground travel has changed a little bit. We've expanded on personal vehicle use, and then the mileage reimbursement. And that is, one of the ways for the mileage reimbursement is you can either pay using the employee's personal funds, and that's when they're using a personal vehicle, or they can use their county credit card. If they use their county credit card, they would not be eligible for the mileage reimbursement because they've already been paid for the gas. If they use their personal funds, then they would be able to claim reimbursement, the mileage reimbursement, which is all gas, but also wear and tear on the car. And it's established with Nebraska, State of Nebraska Department of Administrative Services, that mileage rate.
Okay, now that we've got a good presentation, maybe we should
Should we
start.
go back?
No. Jack, if you want to jump ahead a few pages.
Last page.
For those of you just arriving there, I'm sorry for the confusion about the scheduling. We went ahead and started just a minute ago. We're on the first item on the agenda, which is the proposed travel policy. And where are we up to, about page 5?
We're on page 6.
You already started?
Yeah, sorry, Mike.
Oh, that's all right. What'd you decide? Anything? Just call.
Michelle was just going over a little bit of what some of the new recommendations for travel guidelines.
Okay.
So,
Starting.
no, I don't think so.
What new ones do we miss? Because there's one I heard about that I want to.
So we're on the travel, the biggest one is the report for travel expenses.
What page is it?
Currently it's, so we're back on page 4,
Okay.
or actually it starts on page 3. So the way it was submitted before, there would be a confusion with personal reimbursement versus the county paid travel expenses. So whatever's paid as a travel expense with a county credit card, airfare, all of that is combined with personal reimbursements on the previous form. So we've kept it as one form, but we've changed it to page 1, which is a list of all the county expenses paid with your county credit card. And that's on page 3. At the bottom section 2.
What you can use it for, is that it?
No, we're not to there yet, or allowable in for the bid. So it's just discussing how to submit those expenses. Page 2 is anything that would be a personal reimbursement. And it lists out what items are eligible for personal reimbursement, which is parking, mileage, ground ground travel fare, and expenses. So that would be tolls, if you use an Uber. Page 4,
Four, I
section
said 2.
2.2.
Oh, all right, I got it, thanks.
And then also meals. So we're on 2.2 right now, section 2.2. And then it goes down to does anyone have a question on that form? Okay.
Well, I have
don't
one
know.
question on the personal reimbursement. Where are we on being able to enable that to be a direct deposit?
We are on that now. We have several employees that are set up for ACH payment. If you want a form, just let me know. I'm happy to email
And
it.
so, because when everybody, so we would be using the county cards for airfare and hotel, right? And then these other personal expenses, because there's always been an issue in my mind is that it takes a while for people to get reimbursed on those. And so whatever we could do to expedite that so that they, wouldn't have to have a negative float on that, I think would be something we should strive for.
We try to pay those as quickly as we can. Oftentimes it's how fast do they get it to us. But if they want to be on ACH payments, we can do that now.
Okay.
We don't have the form online. You have to request it. That is a security issue that we don't post it for that reason. But anybody that would want to ACH, we
And
get the
maybe
form.
we should do that as part of this policy and put in there, so when people read it, say that ACH is available online, so people are aware of it, because what percentage of the people do you think are utilizing it?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Because,
Anybody that asks or puts in something, we are handing that form to anybody.
okay,
So-
well, that's a good thing, I
Yeah.
just think it's good that people know that, and really, the more people who get to do it, the better.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Is there an email or something to ask for that? Versus
Yeah,
just a
I can
person?
send you that email. I won't give it because I'm afraid I will tell you wrong. So I'll just send you the email.
If I can make a comment, I don't know what the problem is with, because I use the county card for hotels, transportation, and appropriate meals. And so there's my personal thing and transportation, so there's really not a lot that goes on a private card.
Well, not everybody has a county card.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Well, we do have ones that do have a county card and still use it. So we are at section 3, qualified and prohibited travel expenses, and nothing has changed there from the previous policy.
1.3.
3, and then we go to 3.1.
Where's this?
Big one.
Oh, you on the credit card policy?
I don't know. There's two things that they.
There are 2.
That doesn't help.
Here, I got it. Here you go, Mike.
Okay, here's one.
Okay, so section 3, nothing has changed, it's the same as what it previously was, it's just formatted a little differently. Section 3.2 then pulls out what can be used for personal reimbursement again. And then also lists exceptions there. Sometimes things come up, and if they communicate with purchasing so that we know what that is and try and work through those, and that gives us the flexibility to do that.
I have a question on 3.2, mileage, where must complete a mileage report. It used to be, which is really stupid, I'm sorry to say, let's put the mileage on the vehicle when you left and the mileage on the vehicle when you got back. Okay, well, who's gonna check that? So finally got the county clerk's office to change it to using Google to verify your mileage, just use that. And so that's what, I don't charge mileage on anything anymore, I just don't bother with it. So I don't know if anybody, I think that makes a lot more sense, okay? I mean, maybe you wanna say that in here, I don't know.
Do we also require the mileage report?
We will
with
do
that
a
number?
mileage
yeah.
report and Google,
Yeah, you
yes.
still do a mileage report, yeah, okay.
Because if it does, yeah.
Chris?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, no, go ahead. Couldn't see it.
So to that point, I don't know if it's appropriate place to bring it up, but since he said mileage, it seems like we're on a separate deal, but I always wondered, when I was at the city, instead of giving out mileage for each trip, they kind of somewhere got, I don't know how they got the equation, but they just gave you a set amount each check, and you got for mileage. I mean, not in there, but they got a line for it. I don't know if they still do it like that, but since it was brought
For
up. I just
auto
thought-
allowance?
Miles, yeah. For people that were doing business that was out there. Pretty much, they did it for the staff in the mayor's office that was always out and about. So I just, heard mileage, so I just brought it up. So,
I can ask them, I can check with them.
now note, this was in 2002.
Okay, so section 3.2 lists those travel expenses that we can claim for personal reimbursement. Section 3.3 is prohibited, again, that hasn't changed from the last policy. Section 4 is administration, and this also hasn't changed until we get to section 6. So this is all the same information. Ground travel, and that's the use of how ground travel can occur, personal vehicle use, rental cars, and ground travel fare and expenses. So that would be, ground travel fare would be taxis, bus, Uber. On the personal vehicle use, it talks about that you can use it, it's the least expensive. And then gas while traveling may be paid one of two ways, through the mileage reimbursement. The employee would have to use their personal funds to be able to claim this, or they can pay for gas using the county credit card. If gas for the personal vehicle was paid using the county credit card, then the employee may not claim the reimbursement, the mileage reimbursement.
I have a question about, not that I'm gonna do it, but, the mileage, gas is paid using employees' personal funds. It used to be, they'd say, we wanna see your credit card statement, not just a receipt. So what's the deal now? What is it?
I believe that's still in there.
It's still required.
What's that?
It's still required,
Why?
so we can see that the charge was actually on there. It verifies the charge.
But why doesn't the receipt verify the charge?
Because you can get a credit.
What?
There could be a credit on there. Maybe.
I can't hear what
There
you're
could be a credit on there.
That has to be paid.
Yeah, I know, but they could have, maybe not in the issue of gas purchase. It's pretty hard to return gas, but on other items, we want to make sure that if they purchase something on their personal card, they didn't return it and give the
Well, I'm
money
just talking
back.
about gas.
It's just been the practice.
Well, I
can't
really
answer
wonder
the
whether that's
question right now.
sensible or not. I mean, that's bringing the whole credit card statement in for gasoline when you got the receipt and you can't take it back, unless you siphon it, I suppose. But I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense, so.
I think it's consistency maybe,
Because what?
so that, for consistency's sake.
Well, who needs consistency? There used to be slaves too, so.
You know, and the issue I always had with that is that if you're waiting for your credit card statement, that again gets to this issue of the employee being out the cash before he's reimbursed.
We've allowed employees to give us the statement online. I mean, we've had them print out the statement from their online statement as well.
I can't hear what you're saying.
We've had online statements given. People will go online and they print it online. They're not waiting for it to come in the mail.
Yeah, well,
Some
then it has
people
all
don't
your
get-
other charges, you know. All the,
And those can-
you know, like Marcos has all the
Yeah.
food stuff and everything, you know. Oh, no.
But then you redact it.
Yeah.
You take a marker and, I mean, that's how we've done it in the past,
We
right?
have received redacted
Well, I
ones.
think for gas it ought to be either or. I think gas is an item that, you know, and that's, I just don't see that, waiting to get your statement or go online, and maybe it's not online yet, you know, closing date. Think about it, let's talk about it, okay?
Yep. Okay. All right, thank you, Mike. Michelle, whoever's,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I was just
Sure.
writing that down, so no.
I was just like you.
Section 6.2 and 6.3 haven't changed. Section 7, receipts for travel expenses. Attach all receipts for travel expenses to your page 1. If the employee is unable to produce, that's not fun. Produce a receipt, they should contact purchase on how to proceed. And I think that, I talked to Karen yesterday, and that can be an issue sometimes of having the itemized receipt. So if that's the case, then purchasing will help you on how to proceed if you do not have an itemized receipt. And then it gives example of required receipts. Section 7.2, receipts for report for travel expenses, page 2. This is in regards to personal reimbursements. So it goes through the receipts that are required for that and what should be on that receipt as well. Lodging has not changed. Meals. So this is one that we really expanded on. We're supposed to be using GSA per diem rates. And so meals paid using the county credit card. All meals using the county credit card while traveling on official county business must have the following submitted with that page 1, the report for travel expenses. That would be a printout of the GSA per diem, and that would ensure that GSA rates have not been exceeded. And then an itemized receipt. So we need to see what was purchased with county funds through that itemized receipt.
Okay, so where do you get a printout of the GSE per diem rate,
The last page has a web link to GSA per diem rates. So under reference, section 12,
So,
reference 1.
You don't know that, or we have to tell you every time?
Yes. So
Why?
that's some.
I mean, isn't it standard,
Is what standard?
the GSA rate?
No, it's different. for
No,
city.
Karen,
General services.
just so based on the city, right?
It'd be different than the
Okay.
cost.
So based on the city, oh, Commissioner Duda, sorry. Okay, so based on the city, Commissioner, yeah, we'll have to look up the GSA rate. If we go to DC, DC is gonna be, $30 more a day or something, or, for meals or whatever, than Kearney. Or, I'm just saying, like, using those two
County
examples.
credit card. That's Michelle.
So,
All for county credit card.
So on the county credit card, we need to see the itemized receipt to make sure that alcohol wasn't purchased.
right.
You haven't exceeded those GSA per diem rates, because if you do, then the employee will have to pay.
Was there some kind of scandal that brought all this stuff on, or what? I mean, what are these major changes? It seems like it. I mean,
I think some of it's simplification.
It's just,
It's simplifying the
simplification.
process.
Business
simplifies
practice.
it,
It simplifies the reimbursement to the employee.
really.
If they're using their personal funds to purchase the food, then they can just put that GSA rate on there, and that's what we're gonna pay. We don't need to see the receipts. They wanna purchase wine, purchase the wine, we're just gonna give you for the,
Where are you? You want us to fast? Here we go. On item 9.1, it says printout of GSA, this is for a county credit card, printout of the GSA per diem rate and an itemized receipt may not exceed the GSA per diem rate, so they do need both. They don't need just the GSA thing.
not for a personal reimbursement, they do not.
That's on the
Michelle,
next page.
What is this for?
That's on the next
For using
page.
the county credit card.
On 7, what is it for?
It's for using the county credit card, using county
So-
funds directly.
You need both for that.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess you're going through this a little faster than I'd like to.
Sorry, I can slow down.
Let me ask you a question. I don't mean to be rude, but is there a job description on the personnel thing to hire somebody for this department to monitor this? Are you guys thinking of expanding? Okay, I just wondered. It seems like 15 pages of rules here.
What is the general county travel philosophy on doing things per diem, having people do everything at a per diem
Yeah,
rate
we'll just do that.
versus a la carte? I mean, do we have a philosophy of what's preferred?
Well, I think, and certainly I think it's a general business practice, that other government agencies have gone the route of the GSA.
Per diem.
Per diem. And basically, again, that's, I guess, the decision for the board to decide
Yeah.
a la carte versus GSA, but that's been the recommended approach.
So then we just take the $80 a day in DC then, right?
Chris, wait till you have a mouthful of food. Simply stuff it in, then I call
And
it.
not even worry about it.
So, I'm just curious, I don't even know what the per diem rate is. I've never operated on it, I just try to be responsible. Does somebody go out and shop at, Mahogany's or a top end line restaurant and put a $100 meal on there that we can make this change?
I'm not gonna put the 100 on.
it can happen.
I know it can.
There's
but
nothing-
Is that a
nothing-
regular practice? I mean, I'm
There's
assuming.
nothing that's prohibiting it right now. So if somebody brings us a receipt for a $75 meal, we would pay it.
How do you accommodate for different markets?
That's
For
the
instance,
GSA.
That's the
GSA
GSA.
does
So
that.
like in DC, it's like $80, right? We looked up, Karen, $80 a day. In Kearney, it may be less, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've never looked at the GSA rate. So.
Further questions? Ken?
Yeah, so the meals and incidental thing, my understanding of the way this is being implemented is that you're gonna look at the individual meals and not exceed that as opposed to per diem for the day.
That's how it's set up now, but that doesn't mean it has to stay that way.
I mean, I guess that's to me kind of troubling, because, everybody's food habits are a little bit different. And if I choose to use my per diem to go out and go to a nicer place to eat for dinner and not use the additional expense for breakfast or lunch, then why are we penalizing employees for doing that? I mean, that to me is a very personal preference type of thing. We're still not going to exceed the GSA amount for the day. So why are we gonna harp on whether they spend it, not to exceed a particular amount on a given meal?
Well, if you use per diem, you don't have to file a receipt though, right?
That's for, you
Yeah,
only
so
use it one
that's
meal.
not what they're saying.
Well, if you are putting it on the county's credit card, purchasing's gonna need documentation of what's on that credit card. If you put the per diem through on a personal reimbursement and you just put breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you have that whole per diem, regardless if you spent it all at breakfast or dinner, we don't care. We're gonna give you the full per diem, because on the personal, we just want, but the county
Yeah.
credit card, if you're using the county credit card, Michelle has different,
Yeah, we would need to verify the prohibited items like alcohol.
Well, I understand that part of it. All I'm asking is, if I choose to do one meal and it's $55 and I don't exceed that, is that okay for dinner as opposed to, like, I'm looking at the Carney thing here, it says dinner is limited to $23. If I use the county credit card, am I limited to $23 for that?
As it is right now, that's kind of how it's written, but again, that doesn't have to stay that way.
Yeah, we can certainly discuss whether it makes more sense to look at it on a per day basis, for sure. It is, you bring up a good point.
I think it does. I think not everybody eats the same way. I think some employees are gonna.
Yeah, they have the discretion to spend up to that amount per day.
And to be honest with you, I don't know that that's really enforced the way it's written now, is it? I mean,
It was enforced on me.
that was?
Yes, it was.
By who? Was that from purchasing?
It was
Oh.
enforced.
Maybe it was personal.
I put it through my.
Oh.
Okay, that's not really the way I'm reading this.
Your
but-
eating habits are pretty bizarre.
Aw.
Yeah. That grilled tofu was.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks for your point.
Appreciate your input. Shaquille.
Absolutely.
One, I had no idea that per diem was being enforced. I would have been spending a lot more on meals over the years than people always followed it. For the county attorney's office, we have to do both systems, per diems and receipts, because just if you do make changes to the policy, because a lot of our grant money gets funneled through City of Omaha. City of Omaha does not allow per diem reimbursement. You have to do exact receipts, so we have to follow both systems a lot of times. So just something I want to make everyone aware that when you're talking about making the county choose one system or another, we're stuck with both for now because of our grant restrictions. And the state does that too. If they're funding anything, they want everything on, they don't, at least in the past, they haven't done per diem. And then the other question I had was, we had an item come up where if we have somebody at a conference and the conference is providing a meal, then that portion of per diem, the employee can be reimbursed from. Is that going to stay in place, or? Because we've had that happen where if we have somebody who had a conference giving breakfast and the breakfast portion per diem, we haven't been able to get back. Because we're told, well, the conference is providing, because when we give the conference agenda to the clerk's office, they'll say, well, look, they're already getting breakfast here. So I didn't know if that's still part of the policy or not.
Who administers that?
So if I may, if you tie what Shaq just said with what Ken just said, if you address Ken's concern about allowing it to be $55 per day rather than 10 for lunch and 10 for breakfast and 12 for lunch and the remainder for dinner, you just make it full per day, then that would address that concern, because that has happened in our office where they said, oh, well, they offered you granola bars at the conference for breakfast, so we are not gonna let you have that breakfast part of the per diem. And if you are someone who has an allergy, you might have gone hungry, or you might have walked out and picked up something, so whatever. So if you just address Ken's concern, I think that also addresses Shaquille's concern about that.
Sorry, and if I can get one more thing in, jumping back a little bit, is talking about the credit cards and the statements. One way we've gone around that, and it's been okay, I don't know if this is changing, is the clerk's office is treated, if it's a debit card transaction, it's treated same as cash, so we don't have to provide a statement with that. Is that still the case?
We will talk about it.
Okay, because that's how I've done it, and I don't want to do my whole statement, I just put it on my debit card from the bank and then.
Well, and that's why I do per diem. I'll be honest, I do per diem on every trip I do because I don't want to turn in my credit card.
To the clerk's office, of
Yep.
all places.
Of all places, I just don't. I know it's the policy. So.
You know, I do that too, and that's why I brought up that issue, what's the preferred method that we should tell people that, maybe per diem is the preferred method, because then it makes things simpler and nobody has to go back and go, well, did he get a free lunch or not? I mean, who's gonna administer that?
It's a big, yeah, I mean, certainly that's something I think we can easily manage.
Mike?
I think we ought to do, somebody back there suggested that a per diem be per day, and maybe, I don't know who it was, but this thing of, $10 and $12 and $14, all that crap, that's just not working. I mean, this morning, this is the first meal I had today, for example. I don't eat breakfast a lot, that's my problem, one of my problems. Sometimes I go through and I don't eat lunch, and I try not to go totally whole hog on dinner, but, so the deal is that, I think it ought to be actually per day. I mean, it simplifies things, and, you got whatever it is, and I don't know, I guess we have to look at what it costs in New York for a hot dog versus, Richmond, Virginia or something, but, God, it sure puts a lot of.
That is an option.
Makes you
though.
want to fast.
If you do the pure per diem, that's how it is, you get that much per day,
Yeah,
then
that's
it's up
it.
to you.
That's it, and so you can, you can buy $74 worth of
It's certainly a lot easier to administer.
Yeah, I think you ought to just make it per day, you get X number of dollars per day in whatever city you're in, and let it rip, and if you don't spend it, you don't spend it. I mean, I don't, anyway, that's what I know.
No, I think, it sounds like there's a lot of consensus on that idea, so. we'll
Okay.
work towards that.
All right.
Okay. I hope you weren't looking for a final product today.
No,
but-
no,
No.
that's
Oh,
not,
good.
that's
Oh,
what
good.
we're discussing.
Okay, so 9.2, meals paid for using employees' personal funds, just talks about just the need for that printed GSA, and if we go the per day route, then that could be all together with one amount.
I want to go back just a touch to the beginning here about 9.2. It talks about reimbursement for these items, but maybe according to the established GSA per diem rates. Are we going to include the tips and tax and all that?
Yes, which include the cost of meals and breakfast.
I just, that GSA stuff makes me crazy. I'm not gonna look up, I don't have half the time, I can't get my computer to work to look up what the GSA stuff is. I mean, I really think we ought to just talk about, this is what you get per day if you go to Washington, this is what you get per day, and, if you go to Hong Kong, no, not Hong Kong. But anyway, I just think that's the way it ought to be, and then if you don't spend it, you don't spend it. If you go over.
Nobody has to keep all those receipts and
Yeah.
wait for the credit card statement.
GSA and all the rest of them, who knows? I don't know, I guess that's what we have to do.
Too bad Mary Ann's not here, because she's the one that has to really be traveling over.
No, that's easy, because I went through that.
That's all
I mean,
funded by
NACO
NACO.
reimburses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But,
That's why we like
there is a,
What did they
there's a
require
question
you
about
to
tips.
do?
You had to do all that. I mean, it's a couple of times they tried to ding me for playing $1 over a tip. But I had a little different deal because they reimbursed everything. I didn't have to pay for that. Actually, monthly, and so, and I try to keep good track of receipts on trips, but like again, I ain't actually give out no names, but what is the origin? Who have there been a series of people abusing the system that we need to get a curtail on?
Yeah, that's what I want.
I don't know that I can say that necessarily. I just think we haven't had any sort of thing in place and kind of here's how you're supposed to go. We're trying to be fiscally responsible and get people to move.
Oh no, that's fine, because I'm just saying,
It's not a
in
case of
15
reactionary
years,
to,
this is the
like,
first time I've
abuse.
seen this. I mean,
Yeah.
I've tried to just operate in a realm that
Right.
don't overspend, but that's what I'm saying. In 15 years, I haven't seen this. Now,
I
Claire's
think we
been
just
longer
want
than
a
me.
clear
Right.
formal process that the board says this is what it is, so that departments and so on and so forth know the rules.
Mike and Brett, well, just one
And
second.
if I may, Eric, I just wanted to say that purchasing, well, I'm gonna add to what you said, Eric, and
Sure.
purchasing was looking at implementing a new credit looking at a program that Lancaster has. In doing so, it fostered a conversation about updating the travel policy. The travel policy actually had references, I believe, to like airline credit cards and things that the county discontinued using so long ago, I don't even know when they were in use. And so being diligent, it seemed like an appropriate time that purchasing would look at both policies because they integrated together. And so that's, I think, what led to the update of the travel policy.
So it's like a statute change recently?
No, I don't know that it was a recent statute change, but it's 13 around 610. It allows a county to establish a credit card program, and so that fostered the updating of the credit card policy, and then that caused a look over to the travel policy, which had some language in it that was old and outdated and not even, like, no one even knew what it meant anymore. And so I think that's kind of how the two got married together and are being brought before this committee today.
Well, my only last point, and don't get me wrong, I'm fair with looking at this. I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure, and I'm sure they would say the same thing about us. I definitely don't want to model after Lancaster because I believe there's value in people traveling and learning other things and seeing what's there. And I always get this feeling in Lancaster like they're scared to go anywhere. And I don't want that feeling. So Lancaster definitely should be the model. And again, because we're on record, they would say we should be the model for them. But if we need to tighten it up, that's fine. I just want to make sure that I just want to get an idea what it is because I just haven't heard of this. Every time there's something you see from the clerk's office, so I'm just wondering. I just haven't heard the history of mismanagement, so I'm just trying to get a grip on why. But I'm fine with looking at it. I just want to make sure we.
And I think another important difference that we're making here that we haven't talked a lot about, we've been talking about a lot of incidentals and stuff like that, is this new change in philosophy that any airline or hotel bills will now be charged through the county credit card, so that, those points and those benefits and those frequent traveler points are going to accrue to the county in terms of rebates as opposed to going to the individual for their personal travel programs, correct?
Correct, that's absolutely correct. Yep.
So that.
And I would say that Lancaster wasn't a model. I would say that I think purchasing did a good job of taking some of the best parts of what they were trying to foster, and that is the rewards and the points. Because by having a more uniform policy, the county should be getting more rewards and more points and more rebates. Should be it's fiscally responsible. And so I think that was another reason why the credit card policy came.
Okay, well, you know what I suggest? I'm sorry, I've been waiting to speak. Everybody's jumping in.
Your turn, Mike.
So, including Joe.
Sorry.
Okay, here's the deal. Let's take this home and read it, because this is, I guess those kids in California, when they went through all the shootings, stood up and said, I call bullshit. That's what this is, okay? This is overkill. Okay, here's what's coming up now. Let's see. Employees must maintain documentation regarding their meal costs. The IRS requires some form of documentation or logbook that lists the date, place, meal, and the related costs. The employee is responsible for knowing the IRS regulations and ensuring compliance with them. Okay, I mean, I guess I'll get a big logbook and put it on my back, carry it around. Travel advances must be requested a minimum of 21 days prior to travel. I call bullshit on that too. You can't do that sometimes. I have no problem with that, but that's not right. That's not necessary. And then, within 7 calendar days of return, the employee must submit a request for personal reimbursement, regardless of whether she or he owes advance monies back to the county or is due additional reimbursement, and submit to the county clerk's office. This is really, absolutely the most ridiculous plan of any kind of conduct for employees I have ever seen, and I've been in office off and on since 1981. So let's take this home, look it over, and if you want to tell us who the creep is who caused this to happen in the way of somebody stealing from us, tell Dwarnicki, let's nail it. I mean, I don't know, this is really overkill. So I move, or if we have to make a motion, let's just take this home and come back next month and talk about it, because this is overkill and way too much. I'm not going to talk anymore about this. This is done. This is not going on the agenda.
Well, I would just note, Mike, I think the first one you noted, I think if we don't do that, the auditor is going to ding us.
What's that?
the first one, if we don't do that, I think how I interpret that, that's basically like everybody should be doing receipts.
30 days, that's okay, let's take it home and read it and bring it back in 30 days or whatever. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow, does it?
No, the purpose of today's discussion is simply that, discussion.
Boy.
And to give, I mean,
Okay.
Michelle's been furiously writing notes here.
Too much.
And
Let me ask you, well, I still have the floor, I think I do. Is Dornicky involved in this? I mean, is there something?
He's right there.
I know he is. I know he's there. I'm not gonna turn around. Is Dornicky involved? What is his opinion of this kind of stuff? To me, this is total, absolute, incredible overkill. I mean, Michael, I don't know what you think of this, but this is way too much. And then, who else I wanna speak to about this? Oh, I wanna ask, what is the role of our Karen Cole in all this? Is she just, doesn't do anything anymore? It goes to the clerk, and then it goes to you, and then, you know, we have to appeal to the Supreme Court, or what is it we do?
Well, everybody doesn't
Most
have
of
the
this,
luxury of caring.
99% of this is existing policy that we've had in place for years, and you have to have a process, otherwise,
Well, I agree.
it's
This
craziness if you
People
don't
don't
have
have,
a
what is
process.
this, 21 days of trying to fly and all that? That doesn't always work. Something may come up. I mean, with Mariana may come up with her job.
Oh, she's not in
I know
that
she's in
situation.
with Nico, but still, I mean, if she has any personal.
I think
expenses-
it's a guideline that if you can't, and you guys can speak to this, if there's a situation where there's something that's not within 30 days or 21 days, that's not absolutely prohibited, is it? I believe that that's something.
We're not
where-
involved with
Let
that.
me answer that.
So let's say you have to
Well, I
fly.
still have the floor, Patrick, let me answer. What happens is, I lose receipts and Karen calls me and says, where is the receipt for this or that? And if I don't find it, I write a check. That's the way that is, okay? That works pretty well. I mean, it's my fault, I lose, you know, I'm a Slovovian, so I lose things like that, okay? And I mean, I don't have a problem, it's my fault, I was to accept the responsibility, it's not big, it's $21 for something or whatever. But I just think this whole thing about using, going to a government account, a federal government, and looking at per diem rates and, you know, I just think it's, too much. And I do think the point that, you know, you're trying to make, Kent, is that, and you can leave, I know you're sick of me.
I think that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Mark, be sure you get a gas receipt.
Yeah. Anyway, the deal is that, you know, just like his choice of what kind of food he may want to eat, he may eat other kind of stuff, you know. And I couldn't agree more. Not that I want to go out and have a $45 T-bone because I don't eat it all day long, but because I don't do that.
do you do per diem?
What?
Do you do per?
No, I don't.
Well, it'd be easier if you did.
Well, I know I did, it would be, but I'm not gonna do it under this. This is nuts. So anyway, let's talk about this next month, okay? Can we?
Well, today, I think we've given you some input. Do you need any
Wow.
more
Definitely.
input at this point?
Okay.
Okay.
No, I appreciate the work on it. I do. My only deal is, I do, because, you know, I can remember traveling at 21 or 22 with a company, and $21 was a chunk at the end. But, you know, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that the employee burden is a tricky thing. So that's why I kept asking, is somebody abusing this, is somebody abusing this? But I understand there needs to be the safety net, so I appreciate that, you know, because I know some of this we already operate on. So,
Yeah, like Patrick said, it's all existing, except what's been added a little.
And Mike Dornicky, excuse me, wrong Mike. I think I would ask, before we ever sign off on anything, if you'd review it and say, you think it looks like a good policy or no, yea or nay. I mean, if you'd be willing to, or maybe that's beyond your.
Yeah, I can do that to a point.
All right.
because he's the independent.
Yeah, okay, all right, all right. Okay, I get that. Okay, thank you. All right, well, if we have enough on the travel policy, that was short and sweet.
Well, let's do it next month. It might, you
So
know.
did we say we're gonna bring this back?
Yes. Well, we have to. I mean, we have to bring, we have to bring it back either to the committee or to the board, probably to the committee. Mike, so.
Do we have a previous statement, or is this it?
The old
Yeah, the old.
policy, can we get him a copy of
Do
that?
we have that?
It's,
I have a copy right here.
It's on
It's
our
at the
website.
end of the purchasing manual.
Okay. We got one, let's see.
All right.
Yeah.
I will move quicker.
5 pages this is.
I'll move quicker on the next committee
Twice
meeting.
as long.
I would ask when you get something that you're comfortable with. Let's bring it back to another committee meeting. before we take it to the county board. And I'll be more prompt in scheduling a committee meeting whenever you're ready for that.
Sounds good.
So you let me know.
And, you know, I really appreciate 4 websites on the back for reporting all this stuff. And this is really, it's not on the old one. I don't know what you need all this, really, I'm sorry, but you don't need all this stuff.
Oh, it was for convenience, so
I
people
know,
didn't have to go
got
find
it,
it.
got it.
Okay,
Can I have this, or is this yours?
It is yours.
Good deal, thank you.
proposed creation of Douglas County credit card policy.
Now, do you all want to take this and look at it and
That might be
discuss
the
it when
best
we come
portion,
back?
Oh, that's a separate handout?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Tell me this, is there any, what is changing from our old policy?
Yeah.
What in here would be different from what we
It's
used?
what's in blue, is it?
There wasn't an old policy.
There
So
wasn't?
there was some
Alright.
discussion in the purchasing manual about credit card use.
Okay.
We have seen a lot of things that come through that people maybe don't realize they shouldn't be using their personal credit cards for.
Fine. We
That's
just
kind
need-
of what we want to address.
Just gotta clarify.
Yeah, so
Doris.
I think reading that probably would be
Take 30 days to read through it, is that, and then.
All right.
Well, this is 14 pages long. Yeah, I think that'd be reasonable.
that's your homework.
Good grief.
Um,
Somebody needs a vacation or something, or a hobby, I think.
Two of us do, Mike.
Yeah, I do.
Where do you wanna go? Karen, would you schedule another meeting of this in about 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'll work with them.
Okay, great. Very good. Okay, not on policies.
So Claire, before you go, what area should we be sure to read? If you wanna point, okay. Oh, so it's totally new?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Because I think even though there are things on the travel that have been in existence, obviously there's not awareness that you need to kind of see all that.
And if you talk, how much time you spend on purchasing card at this?
We'll get to the
That's a
Sunday,
separate,
right?
that's up next step, I think that kind of opens the path toward the key card.
Now that we took a tenner for you guys, Brian.
We tried to get Mike Boyle in a really nice, calm mood for you. You knew how much smoother that'd make it. Hey, Mike, at least you stayed till the end of the meeting. Good. So.
Thank you, please, don't take it as
You're
personal.
very welcome.
Oh,
I
it's
do
over the
not.
top.
Thank you for your input.
Good deal,
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, well, good after, are you ready for me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, well, we'll keep this short and sweet to the point, and we have just 2 simple handouts. So hopefully we can just go through this pretty quick today. And so first, I would like to introduce Justine Tesla. She's the elections manager at the elections office. She's been there for 15 years, and she's been the election manager. Her first presidential was in 2008 when President Obama got elected. And so she really runs the day-to-day operations of the office, so she can help me with this. And I think all of you know me, Election Commissioner Brian Cruz. So we are here to propose a new position for our office. We have visited with Joe and Patrick and Karen in HR. And I guess I'd like to first start out, I think all of you have been out to the new office.
Yeah.
So thank you for all of that. If those of you who haven't, come out and visit us. The space is great. We're well underway already. We've got a lot of those temp workstations already filled up because we have a special election going on in Bennington, and we're getting ready for the May primary already. You can park right in front of our door.
Yeah.
And walk right in. No problem there. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the community on it.
Good.
They haven't had any trouble finding us. They love the space. And we were trained this morning on new equipment that the state bought us for the election. We're getting new ADA equipment for all of the 237 polling places and new counting equipment for the ballots. And so that'll start to be delivered actually Friday. So it's coming. So that's great. So we're utilizing our space. So thank you very much. So just a brief overview here. We've been at 13 full-time employees since 2000. And since 2000, in 20 years, we have increased from 280,000 voters to 354,000 voters today.
30%.
30%. And we expect that probably to be at least 360,000 or more by the November election. We currently have 150 to 175 new or updated voter registrations coming in daily that we have to process.
Wow.
Each and every day.
How many?
150 to 175 a day on average, and then of course as we get closer to the election more.
First time voters.
Or
Basically,
updates,
in
yeah, yep. We have 75 death records every Friday to help keep our rolls clean. That's agency sharing through the Department of Health and Human Services. We get a felony record update every day from Douglas County, which is between 12 and 20 felonies each day that we have to research to determine what they were and if the voter can remain a voter or has to be, removed from the rolls by state statute and things of that nature. And then we get one from the state every month of approximately 55 of those felony records. So one of the things we're in the process of doing right now is we have what we call the NCOA, the National Change of Address. That's another mechanism we use to help keep our rolls clean and safe for the election. We do those mailings twice a year, and the one we're getting ready to send out here in February is 16,000 voters. In 2016, our voter registration coordinator, who is in charge of all this, that's a presidential year, she had 588 hours of overtime, resulting in $32,000 in overtime. So that's one of the big reasons we're coming to ask for another full-time employee. And it should be noted, she's working on the Bennington election, she's working on the May election, she's trying to get ready for temporary employees we are having, and she was there Sunday working from 2 p.m. to midnight to get ready for this. And she's been working last week as well to get ready all month. We have an administrative coordinator who currently has other duties in the office, and she is currently spending 2 to 3 hours a day on voter registration just because of the pure numbers. And then we pretty much now have temporary employees working year-round to help us with voter registration and early voting and list maintenance and other things, just because of the sheer volume. Early voting, Mike, you can attest to this. In 2018, because of the sheer volume we had, we were behind entering early voting requests by 10 to 11,000 at one time. And Mike was in touch, we were in touch about that, Mike and I. And so not only were we working overtime 7 days a week, we had to go to a temp agency and get more people to come in. And when we do that, you pay a premium of 50%.
Yeah.
So that's an expense right there alone. In 2000, going back 20 years, there was essentially no early voting. I mean, very, very little. In 2016, we had 95,000 requests, and we're predicting over 100,000 requests for this presidential year. This will be by far the largest election ever conducted in Douglas County history. Beyond that, we have 127 SID, sanitary improvement districts. We conduct every September approximately 80, 85, so half and half each year. We have to do that. We have a special election right now going on for Bennington. And you can see it's rare that we don't have special elections. In 2017, we had Westside and Millard. 2018, we had Bennington and Elkhorn. So the question is, yes, we definitely need this person now, but will this person remain busy then in the off times? And the question is, without a doubt, between list maintenance and special elections, SIDs, and there's just numerous things.
That's right, go ahead.
So we're here to ask for the 14th full-time employee. We ideally would like to have this person hired by April 1st so they can learn in the primary in a slower election so that when we turn around and get ready for the presidential, they're off and running and ready to go. And so there's some obvious things here to reduce overtime, just to help with this sheer mental ability of this voter registration coordinator who's working day and night, literally,
So,
sometimes.
How many employees do you have now?
13,
Okay.
and that's what we've had since 2000.
Well, I think it's been, it's unbelievable, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of the people who used to be there when I was there. And I wanna say it was 11.
Really?
Yeah, we had, of course, we ran juries too, we did juries.
Jerry's saying, yeah.
Yeah, which we don't now. We're just purely election now.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think for my money, I mean, I'm familiar with the office and I know what's going on out there, and it's, I think you do need the help, and particularly when you're paying overtime, and we don't want temp help in there anyway. I think this is a much better thing to do. What are you thinking of paying?
So we were thinking they would come in at an S4H.
S4H?
Yes,
What's that?
step one
Okay,
would be $18.10 an hour, which would be $37,648 a year.
okay,
Or, depending on the person's ability and background, and a step five would be $21.98 an hour, which would be $45,718. So between 37 and 45. Now this is not budgeted for this year. If we started April 1st, we would need a supplement of about 7,500 for the remainder of this fiscal year, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Beyond for 1 quarter.
what do you think you recommend? I mean, you're talking the 1810 and 2198, what are you thinking? I mean, by,
You know,
can you,
maybe somewhere in between there. When we hired our last full-time employee about a year and a half ago, and he came because someone had moved on. We started at the step one, but then that wasn't enough to get him there, and he was by far the best candidate. So it gives us some room to negotiate.
Yeah.
So maybe we would start maybe like at step 3 or something, but with some room to negotiate.
okay. Well, I think you ought to be able to do what you know, use your best judgment. I'd rather not pay the top deal, but I understand. if you have to,
Correct.
if you have to. And of course, you have to take into consideration what everybody else is being paid and everything else.
Right.
And I know that you're paying, how many men do you have working versus women, or women versus men?
Well, we're in the minority. I got 13 full-time employees, and there's, well, it's about half and half, I guess. There's 6 of us, actually, since we hired another one, yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I ask that is that it's really easy to continue to pay women less. I know you're not doing that.
No.
There are problems with that sometimes, particularly as the women begin to become promoted. Sometimes there's, just not the equity that should be there, and lots of times they don't speak up. But I know you're not doing that, but.
Right, and in fact, was it 2 years ago, Justine, she was
Underpaid.
definitely for her position, and we worked with Karen, and so and she earns every penny of it and more.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
Well-
she's the workhorse of the office. She's the one that makes it all happen.
I know what you mean. There was a woman named Alice Kalisak that did that too. She was there from the 1940s. She's still
Oh, wow.
Boy, she knew everything. Upside down. Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
that's a
and I
good
will
idea.
tell you this just real quick. I'm sure we won't have any trouble finding somebody. We've hired 2 full-time employees in the last couple of years. One position we had 60 applicants, and the other we had 85.
Wow.
So people want to come to work there,
Yeah.
which is great, because we have the ability then to get the very best of the best
Yeah.
to come there.
If you turn anybody down next time, tell them they can come become a corrections officer.
Okay.
Yeah, just send about 5 or 6 of the new employees down to 17.
PJ, did you have something?
I was
Yeah,
gonna
sorry.
say, at first when you made this request, I was thinking maybe we'd hire part-time because you have the election, so on. But I understand the training and what you've made your points about,
Yeah.
sometimes when you have the rush, hey, we'll get some part-time help instead of the full-time person. But I think you've looked at that and you feel the full-time will help you also cut overtime, which is probably important, and I respect that, so that's good.
That's good. Well, thank you. And
And you worked there how long?
15 years as a permanent employee, but then I was there during petitions in high school and college, so I've been there a long time.
When I
Since
saw you
about-
look at Commissioner Boyle, I thought maybe you were there when you were commissioner.
Not quite
I'm
that
kidding.
long.
That was in
That was a
the
Bobby
70s.
Kennedy campaign.
And I won't belabor the point, but as important as the overtime is, it is the well-being of our employees. Because and the mental health, because when you do work 60, 70 hours, when you work week after week after week, it does wear on you, and when you work that much, you do start to make mistakes too, and it's just not good for anybody.
Put a treadmill
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah.
So Brian, when we
Yes.
put together
Well,
the
thank you all.
March supplement, we'll put in 7,500 for this new position for the remainder of the year.
Okay, so we can move forward with Karen now.
So there's somebody.
Thank you, thank you very much.
Yeah, even our temporary employees.
Appreciate it.
Claire, adjourn. Claire, adjourn.
Yeah, we're adjourned.